Hello and welcome to the 3.5 Guys. I'm Alex Rapp, and with me as always is Miles Metter and Alex Schmidt. So tonight we are joined by UNT quarterback coach Quinn Shanbour. How are you doing tonight, Quinn?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We are doing great. So the first question I want to ask you is, I noticed that you went to a prep school in Connecticut. So how did you actually end up there? Because I know you're from Oklahoma. So how did you end up there?
So, from Oklahoma City, born and raised, and I went to Heritage Hall High School. It's a little private school in Oklahoma City, known for good football. And one of my advisors, Will Webb, actually went to a similar school up in Massachusetts. So, there is a bunch of feeder schools into the Ivy Leagues, and that was kind of what I was aspiring to at the beginning. And I've always been really big into my studies, and obviously, they still play good football up there. I'm not going to ever say that, they're SEC level or whatnot. I mean, but, I had my head in the books, my nose in the books, and kind of looking forward to maybe getting into one of those Ivy Leagues. And I actually, it came to fruition. I had multiple offers from Ivy League schools. Just when my dream school, Oklahoma State, called me up, I had to take the chance. So kind of nixed that whole year, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Made a lot of really good friends and had a lot of connections, and got to see some of the prettiest schools in America. So, like I said, I wouldn't take it back for the world.
That first year that you went to Oklahoma State, after that year you transferred to North Texas schools. What made you want to do that?
So I actually I enrolled at Oklahoma State in January. Did the whole spring ball, summer workouts, fall camp. Got hurt 2 weeks before the Mississippi State game. Had a very severe toe injury, turf toe, tore my arch in my foot, and then strained my Achilles. So I practically couldn't walk. The doctors at Oklahoma State actually told me that I should probably retire and that I wouldn't ever run again. And I kind of bet on myself, so I asked them for my release. At that time, I had planned on, rehabbing it to the best of my ability, still kind of being in school. Obviously, studies, like I said, are a big part to me. But North Texas and Coach Canales kind of reached out to me, and obviously, I was almost game 2 of the year. I think they had just beaten Idaho that year, and then they were playing Ball State. And that week, I kind of, got in contact and ended up transferring whenever I could, which it was still within 2 or 3 weeks of the UNT school year. I ended up transferring in that fall, and the rest is history.
What was it like playing under Coach McCarney and Coach Canales in those 2 years that you did play?
So obviously, that 2013 season that did get to transfer in, some of the greatest memories, obviously going against that defense. Derek Thompson actually just got inducted or not inducted, but is a nominee for our Hall of Fame this coming year. And so that's a great honor because I got to be in the quarterback room with him. But Chico, I still, or Coach Canales, I call him Chico. So Chico, I still keep up with him, every month or so. I'll shoot him a text and he'll shoot me a happy birthday or whatnot. And, at the coaches convention this year, we got to sit down and really talk some ball and talk about all the good memories that we had. And so I was actually very tight with Chico, and he knew that I wanted to coach afterwards, and he's kind of helped me along, and he's always been a good connection and someone to bounce some ideas off of. So that relationship is still ongoing, and can't say much more good things about that. Coach McCarney, I mean, I'm a guy that's, coming off the street from, I'm obviously at Oklahoma State, but, to be able to see, someone, that's hobbled or whatnot, and that still can contribute to the team in the way that I could, whether it was on the field, off the field, He's always talked about, his walk-on programs, and our walk-on program then was nominal as, we had, I want to say nine of those starters that 2013 season were, I think, former walk-ons or played a huge part on special teams or defense or offense. But that foresight and that ability to spot, a diamond in the rough, I think that's something that people don't talk about much with Coach McCarney, and he's always treated us well. And transitioning to the Luttrell area, I think that walk-ons are just as important as the McCarney era. Don't get me wrong, but I think both of them have a heart for that, and I think that they both did a really good job. And I think that's what's created a lot of success for us over the years.
So, in your time at UNT, you got to play against some pretty high caliber college football teams. What would you say would be the toughest, not necessarily team, but what was the toughest atmosphere to, try to, just get your head in the game in?
I'll give you a couple. I think, so the Florida game is, it's the Swamp. I think that was just, they were menacing defense. I think they were top 10 statistically in almost every category. Obviously, they did pretty well that night against us. They broke some SEC records, I think, against holding us down pretty well. But again, they had, I think, 3 or 4 first rounders, and I think 5 or 6 top 2 or top 3 rounders that year. So it's pretty crazy whenever D tackle can run step for step with our inside linebacker or our inside receiver or Mason. We try to double pass, and the D tackle is trying to cover Mason, and he covered him up, and it's like, a guy that's 350 pounds shouldn't cover our quarterback, but that's just an example of how freakishly athletic they were. And so it was hard to play in the Swamp, obviously, because they're right up on you. I mean, they were 5 feet from your backs, and I think they didn't have any elevation. Most stadiums have elevation where they're kind of screaming down at you, where the first couple rows at the Swamp are head level. You're seeing eye to eye against all these guys that take their shirts off because it's so hot, and they're painted orange and blue, and they had some crazy fans. And even rolling up to the stadium, you had 2 miles of just tailgating at the Swamp, and it was pretty intimidating just to see that gathering because they're all hooping and hollering, and it's still 2 hours before the game, and we hadn't really in that kind of situation before. And then the other one, I know it's kind of weird, but the Liberty game. So it's out on the East Coast, and it's kind of tucked in the woods, but Liberty's that team where they try to sneak up on a lot of people, and they have a beautiful campus, all that stuff. But their student section is right behind you, and they are just obnoxious as they're funny. They're they looked up all of our Instagrams and whatnot, and started talking about guys' girlfriends and what they did for the 4th of July. They went down a couple of years for each one of us, and it was funny because that was the game that had 2 or 3 rain delays. So they just had all this time to just go for every single person. They went through between me and Mason, down to our O-line, down to our long snappers, to our kickers. They had, and it was amazing because they stayed out there the whole time. And I think those were some of the most loyal fans that we've ever played against, because obviously it's, a smaller school, and it's like a private, Christian university and whatnot. And that's not taking anything away from them, but you expect, the guys from Florida to be obnoxious because rah, Florida, go Gators. But, Liberty that was a fun one. It was fun because you got those guys following you now, and they shot us DMs like, hey, you might have beat us real good, but we got you on the sideline kind of thing. So that was a fun one.
You've played in a lot of bowl games over your time whenever you were at North Texas. What was your favorite experience?
I mean, obviously, when you win is the best. So 2013 has got to be the best bowl experience. obviously winning. But I think being in the Superdome down in New Orleans was awesome. I mean, that's the house Drew Brees built practically. So that's a really cool one. And the last couple obviously haven't gone our way, but I would definitely say that the atmosphere of the Superdome was pretty cool. And then obviously winning the Heart of Dallas versus UNLV that 2013 year was, obviously a great experience.
So how did the culture change from that 2015 season going on to the 2016 and then so on and so on?
So 2015 obviously is hard, and anyone that's following us, that's just a tough pill to swallow. We had great talent. I don't believe that, it meshed well together. I think there was a lot of voices talking, we need to do this, we need to do that. I don't believe that 1-11 was what was in that locker room. I think we could have done much better, obviously. I think that our coaches have coached better. I believe our players have played better. I think the ball bounced wrong a lot of times. I'm not going to say, that's an undefeated team, but just going from that culture of, there are a lot of voices talking, no one really stepping up as a true leader, to Coach Luttrell's era as, we bring the program guys every single year, and, it melds all of us together. And that, melting pot, the leaders show out. The leaders will always come to the forefront. You can have a lot of great teammates, but the fact that we have great team leaders over these last couple of years is because we've, put everyone on the same playing level, and whoever stands up and rises to the top, that's who leads us to battle. So, great team leaders, they're trying to accomplish their mission, and then they take care of their teammates. So I think that is what we've prioritized with North Texas, obviously, the last couple of years. I don't believe that was certainly the statement that we had in 2015, but obviously we've changed that around to a winning culture.
You made your first appearance at Apogee against Lamar. What was that like?
So that
stepping onto the field.
Right. I mean, that's awesome. I think, obviously we're up by a bunch of points, so it's kind of some mop-up duty, but, just getting into the game, it tells you that all of your hard work is actually paid off. I'm not one to slack off on work. I was always considered one of those workout warriors kind of guys, and always at the film room and doing everything I can to help the team, whether that was mentoring Mason or, helping the freshmen get along. But it was a time that I could kind of selfishly have for myself, take a deep breath or deep couple breaths and, make something happen that, I had been training for my whole life. So I couldn't tell you how happy I was, obviously, in that moment and in that game. And that obviously we had, come out with a W. So that was the most important thing, but selfishly, it felt really good.
So explain, what was it like coming into the FAU game unexpectedly and lead your team over a pretty good FAU team?
So yeah, obviously we had some rough stretches against FAU. Just about, obviously the year before we had played them twice and, didn't go so well. That year, we're sticking out to them, and I think we're up by we were a pretty tight game. But the ability to show that Graham had trust in me, and he kind of had his own playbook for me, because Mason and I had a little bit of different attributes, obviously, and so that he knew what I was comfortable with, and the ability to run obviously is a big part of my game. But obviously I was super pumped to be in there as well. I gave a lot of credit to Graham and Coach Luttrell about always having me ready, and so I just made the play when it happened. I couldn't tell you what I was thinking at that moment. I was probably a little frazzled. I was probably, I had some gray matter going in my head, but, looking back on it, it was probably 2 or 3 of the best minutes of my playing career.
So shifting over more to the coaching side, obviously, like I said earlier, North Texas has lost its longtime quarterback in Mason Fine. And there are a lot of guys in that quarterback room that I think are really talented. And really, there's probably 3 or 4 of them that could take that starting job. Now, do you see UNT using a dual quarterback system, swapping them out different scenarios, or do you see more of an established starter?
I don't think that's something that we have our mindset on right now. I think that we're just trying to get these guys back in for summer workouts and for fall camp, and to be able to really get to pick their brains and try to get the reps going, because none of these guys know whether they were behind Mason and I, or whether they were just behind Mason last year. The starter gets 60-70% of the reps, and it's hard to divvy up the rest of the percentage up to the other guys. So now, they get 10 to 15 reps in a practice. Now they're getting 50 reps in a practice each. And so I think that's just going to, we got to pick their brain, what they're comfortable with, what they can dissect, what they can read, and what their ability is. Obviously, each one of them brings a different skill set. I don't know if a dual system or a dual quarterback system is in the cards, but I think that we're going to get multiple guys on the field, and whether it's a kind of a trick play or some kind of a wrench to throw in a Texas A&M's game plan, or SMU's game plan, or Houston's game plan, where they have to say, hey, they've got multiple quarterbacks that can do a lot of things, and if they're all on the field at the same time, what are they going to do? Are they going to just run their thing, or are they going to introduce something new? So I think that's something that we've always got in the back of our head, that hey, the harder it is for teams to game plan for us, the better it is for us. So I think that that's something that we might experiment with if something arises to that. But I think all these guys are capable of being very good college quarterbacks, and I think that fall camp, obviously sucks not having spring ball, but fall camp's the true test.
What was it like transitioning from being a quarterback at North Texas to being a quarterback coach?
So I've been a coach on the field for as long as I know. Whether it was in high school, there would be times that my coaches would let me call series, call some drives, or up in Connecticut, I was doing the same kind of thing where I could call my number. I could have a read option. I could have any type of pass play I wanted. I could audible out of anything. So I've always had that coaching mindset, because I've developed my mind to watch film and be able to see from the quarterback's perspective. I think that is very easy now as a quarterback coach, because I was in those shoes not too long ago, and that's how I developed my brain. Because a lot of people will see the wide side of the field, where it's the offensive line versus the defensive line, and then all the secondary, all the receivers and whatnot. Where I see almost like an end zone copy in my head, where hey, this is my first, second, third, fourth read. What coverage are they playing, and what read is going to be good against that coverage. So that's how I played, and so the transition to be a coach and to decipher, hey, this team's a cover 4 team. Hey, they're going to play quarter halves or whatnot, and how to attack that specific area. I wouldn't say it's been seamless or anything, because there's a lot more going into coaching. But I think that with the X's and O's and translating it to the quarterbacks we have in our room, I think that it's helped me a lot that I'm fresh out of the game.
So what kind of kept you at North Texas instead of going into the high school coaching, because you said you did coach and you wanted to coach before, or going into the work world? What kept you wanting to stay here?
So it's kind of funny. So when I was rehabbing my foot, that 2013 season, that 2014 season, I obviously didn't travel because I was medical redshirt and redshirt. And so every Friday we'd have walkthroughs with our team and whatnot, and then they would fly to Florida Atlantic or Western Kentucky, any of those different spots. And I would drive up to Oklahoma City and help coach my high school team. And they would send me the game plans all week, and I would kind of talk to the quarterbacks and see what they saw. Obviously, I didn't get to see practices, but I would show up on game day, kind of be, a kind of a coaching assistant where I would step back and help the quarterbacks with mechanics or whatnot or reads that I saw that the other guys might not have that fresh perspective that I did. So those 2 years, I helped Coach Heritage Hall. What's funny is that I helped Coach Heritage Hall beat Mason Fine in high school. So that's a little fun tidbit. But I didn't specifically enjoy high school. I wanted to be a little bit more competitive, and I love college football and I love NFL football. And if I can get to the pinnacle of one of those two, that's a blessing. So I think I'm going to stay in college or even jump up if I can. But the reason I stayed at UNT, I had always talked to Coach Trail about my want to coach, and like I said, Chico knew, Coach Trail knew, Graham knew, and at the moment when I was a senior, I was like, "Hey, Coach, what should I do? Should I stay here through my pro day and then coach, or should I, because he had already lined up a couple of different places that I could go interview at, and at that time, Graham had left for USC. I was training for pro day. Coach Trail actually, hit me up and said, "Hey, I need you to come get these guys transition into, because you knew Graham's offense and you knew how he taught the quarterbacks, and I need you to teach our new offensive coordinator, Bodie Reeder, how everything else was taught, and then what he wants to implement so that it can be a seamless transition." So I'm not gonna say I got roped into it because I love being at UNT, and that was my first choice anyways. And I love that I'm still here. But I helped to be a bridge gap between Coach Harrell and Coach Reeder. So I think that's what kind of stuck me out at UNT. And then now, obviously, Coach Reeder leaves to go to Utah State, and we bring in Coach Blush and Coach Wallace, and it's just been amazing. I think those guys are some dudes, and I think that they bring a lot of perspective from their coaching tree, and we're excited. We're going to be, letting it rip. And like Coach Luttrell, first said when he got hired, get high and let it fly. I mean, we're going to be trying to throw over people's heads, and it's going to make people excited.
So I have two questions for you. The first one is just what coach at UNT did you learn the most from in terms of, like that guided you into this coaching role?
I think they all brought a lot to the table, and I've, like I said, I've been through 2 or 3 now. So I think Chico brought a lot to the table, as in how a college quarterback needs to prepare, needs to act, needs to be in that situation where there's a pre-snap read, there's a post-snap read, there's cadence, there's signals, there's audibles, there's all this meshed into one position. That's the quarterback, and you have to be the ultimate prepared leader out there, because if you didn't prepare, you let down 10 other guys because they can't audible for you, they can't make any calls for you, they can't set the protection for you. You have to know that, and if you can't know that, you can't play. So I learned a lot under Chico, whether it's reading defenses or having to be a quarterback on the field. And by that point, where Coach Harrell comes into play, he has always been cool, calm, and collected. These are the reads; they're sacred. Nothing's going to bother these reads, and if they're open, throw it. I think the simplistic nature of Coach Harrell, fit into our culture very well because we knew exactly what we wanted to do, and we did it so well that defenses had to prepare for us rather than us having to prepare for defenses, which is, the name of the game. Like I said, the more things that they have to learn from your game plan and the less that you have to game plan for them, you're going to execute much higher rate than they are. And then, obviously they play for Coach Reeder, but, he had the fine detail and he combed through every single detail every single day. And I think that's something that to be said as, yeah, it might have been a little bit more playbook than our past, but it's something that, I think a lot of teams use and that I'm going to use future in my coaching career, as in I'm a very detailed person. I'm a very disciplined person, whether it's on or off the field. And, coaching my quarterbacks, I think I'm going to take a lot more detail into meetings so that they know, hey, it's not just 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1 because of this. It's 2 because they rotated here. It's 3 and so on. So I want to give my quarterbacks enough information so that they know that it's foolproof. It's not just hey, it's that because I said so. It's, hey, it's that because this is the read and this is why the read is successful.
So the next question I have for you actually goes back to Coach Harrell, and I'm glad that you talked about him. So this is more of a college football in general question. He has Keaton Slovis, as you know, and he threw for 3,500 yards and 30 touchdowns this past season. So do you think that you can see Slovis really, taking his game to the next level? I know he had Coach Harrell last year, but with another year of Coach Harrell, that he could make a big jump and possibly make the run for Heisman.
The sky's the limit for anyone that Coach Harrell plays for, or whoever plays for Coach Harrell. Sorry. Obviously, they had JT Daniels as their quarterback before that, and JT was the 5-star. I think he was like the highest rated guy a couple of years back. Ends up transferring this year, but I mean that guy was a dude. That guy was a Heisman hopeful in his own right before the season, and I think that anyone that's tied to this air raid is going to be able to put up numbers. And the air raid is such a beautiful thing because not a whole lot of people know this, but a lot of teams in college football have some type of air raid concept because they know that, cross is awesome or mesh is sacred or, all these different variations to where we can get guys open and it's a true progression. It's very easy on the quarterback because, like I said, it's the reads are sacred, and that you get a guy that's accurate, is anticipatory, knows his reads like the back of his hand. You're going to throw up numbers and a lot of them. And I think that Keaton Slovis has great confidence, obviously coming in as a freshman and throwing up those numbers, even though he was the backup at the beginning of the year. I think that says a lot about Coach Harrell because he does groom his backups just as well as his starter. Obviously, you saw it with me. You could see it from Mason, obviously, because he wasn't even the starter his freshman year. Alec Morris was. So every single backup that he's had has been successful. I think that is a testament to how well Coach Harrell can prepare guys and how this air raid can throw up numbers just with an accurate quarterback that knows the system and that can put the ball there on time. So, like I said, sky's the limit for Keaton Slovis, and they've got some playmakers out there. Best of luck to all of those guys. Hopefully, they go 12-0, we go 12-0, and we play them in a bowl game. That would be a miraculous thing, but something that I dream of.
Obviously you were a team leader during your time at North Texas, and that senior year in 2018, you were on the Danny Wuerffel Award watch list, which is academic excellence and athletic leadership. What was that like to see yourself on that short list?
So obviously that's awesome to be on that stuff. I think being on the Danny Wuerffel watch list is a dream come true. It's not many guys are nominated, much less, actually nominated and selected for the semifinalists and whatnot. It's something that I didn't know a whole lot about before college, but I knew that, I think Andy Flushy, a guy a year before me, was also on the watch list, and it's a testament to your character, your leadership, your on and off field activities. They took into account that I'd done a lot of community service for Keep Denton Beautiful and some special Olympics programs, which is awesome. And I don't want to take away from that watch list or anything, but what was more special to me is being a leader on our team. I was nominated team captain, and that's something that I'll forever cherish. And that there's a couple team captains that 2018 year and 2017 year and whatnot, but just to see that my peers put me in that limelight, and for me to fulfill that, and my coaches to be able to say that I was someone that could rise above the rest in terms of being a connector, because I see team leaders and team captains as that bridge gap between the team and the coaches, because the coaches can't always say this is what we look for, this is what we need, and the team can't always go to the coaches and say, hey, this is what we need and what we look for. But those team captains are a bridge gap to where, hey, we can send this message through you, disperse it to the proper channels, kind of thing. And I think that's why every single year, team leaders and team captains are so highly regarded in college football, is because, those are the mediators or the moderators through which a culture or an organization really thrives on. So back to your question, the watch list was, great, and selfishly that, something I can always put on my resume or whatnot, but being that team captain, being that team leader, I worked very hard for that, because that's always something that I wanted to stand in those shoes.
So how has college football changed from your first year to your last year, and maybe in a playing perspective or even a coaching perspective?
So the biggest transition, I think, so I always said this, from Oklahoma State to North Texas, the biggest transition, just purely from the external perspective, is that the funding or the money that goes into Oklahoma State is bar none. I mean, obviously they had T. Boone Pickens, as a huge donor, and they had that indoor and whatnot. So they had the indoor, and then they could feed their athletes almost unlimited resources, unlimited meals and whatnot, where, to be on the same level playing field, North Texas and Oklahoma State both had the tutoring, both had, study hall, both had, extracurricular activities for all their athletes. But the two things that stood out between North Texas and Oklahoma State was that indoor and that, health and nutrition. Well, coming to the fact that 2013, 2014, 2015, we really didn't have that. But with Coach Charles' era, they've identified their resources. As you can see, that indoor practice facility is sitting right there next to Apogee Stadium, and it is gorgeous. It's top of the notch. Something that we're going to use. We use it daily. Something that gives us an edge on all of our competition. And then the fact that we have Charles Ashford as our sports nutritionist is, bar none, probably the biggest change that we've had since I've been at North Texas. The nutrition that we get now, whether it's extra protein shakes, extra snack replacement shakes for before and after practice, or the dining hall accessibility at Champs, it's not even close. Because there's times that in the those early seasons in McCarney's era that we didn't have those funds for the sports nutritionist. We'd have guys losing 10, 12 pounds during a fall camp, 2 a day, and we couldn't replenish their body with stuff that we could get them. We would just say, hey, go to Walmart, drink Pedialyte, get your weight back up. We got to go 2 a day tomorrow. Whereas now we can look to Charles and say, hey, we need a meal replacement shake on top of the mass gainer that he's given us, on top of what he can send home with us for an extra snack. And then we got to get back up to Champs in the morning so we can eat breakfast so we can be ready to go for practice. So, I know that's probably not what you were asking for the biggest changes, but, the biggest jumps for UNT athletics were definitely the indoor practice facility and Charles Ashford.
So, this season I've been looking over the schedule, and there's quite a few big games that UNT is going to be playing. Is there one that stands out above the rest that you're excited for, whether that's A&M or that's the big rivalry with SMU?
Obviously, we want to beat SMU every single year. I mean, I forget. I think it's the Midway series that we call it or whatnot. But dang, all right. Well, you got me on that one. We haven't beat them too often. I think that we beat them whenever we ran June Jones out of our stadium, and they fired him right after that game. But they've definitely had our number, and that's always a really big game because that's our out of conference rival. It's someone that we look forward to every single year. B, it helps in our recruiting. All in honesty, that if we have a recruit that's battling with us versus SMU, and that year that we beat SMU by however much, they say, hey, I'm going to go to this team that that is a bowl contender, where SMU, we might knock SMU out of the bowl contention with an extra loss or whatnot. So it's always been kind of a rivalry and it's 50 miles apart. I think that we have a really good home stadium where we can fill up our stadium to max capacity. I know that SMU, kind of struggles to fill up their stadium, but we do our part, and we send all our students and we send all our buses down there. I think that's a great way for all of our students to say, hey, we're not just part of Apogee. We're really a fan base that wants to follow our team, and we can all bus down there and have a good old time down at SMU. So I love that rivalry, but it's hard to go against not say Texas A&M. We're going to go to Kyle Field, and that thing is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, stadiums in America right now. And I know that they fill it up every single game. They have a loyal fan base. They have a diehard fan base, and that's our competition. I mean, everyone says, hey, we want the best and we want to beat the best. Well, everyone on our schedule isn't a Power 5, and we can circle up that game and say, hey, those are going to be the best guys coming out of Texas, and it means a lot for our guys, because a lot of the guys that are at Texas A&M were picked over our guys that came to North Texas, whether they were ranked higher, whether they're recruited more, doesn't matter. You're going to be still in that same playing field, and if you beat their butt that Saturday, that gives you that extra boost of saying, hey, I belong in this field. I belong just as highly touted as you guys, because that scoreboard doesn't lie. So I think that Texas A&M is big for our guys, and big for the name of North Texas.
You guys pulled a big quarterback about a month ago. Imani Gilmore. Even though he won't be eligible this year, what are you most looking forward to from him the 2021 season?
I think that he, obviously we haven't had a whole lot of discussion. We've had him on some Zoom meetings, and we're itching to get him just in front of our eyes, whether it's in workouts or some player run practices or whatnot. I think that he's a guy that we look and see he has a lot of tools. And just like the rest of our guys in our room, I think that you all know that, whether it's, Will Keeney, Cole Johnson, Austin Ani, Jason Bean, Casey Martin, any 5 of those guys that we have right now are in our room, they all can throw it. They can all run it. They all have a good grasp of our concepts right now. Well, you just throw that guy in there with all his tools, whether he can run, throw, he's already been in a Power 5 offense in Kentucky. That what does he bring to the room? He brings a lot, because he brings a cool and calm kind of composure because he's been in those big stadiums that our guys might not be accustomed to. And he probably had reps against their first team defense, whether it's scout team when he redshirted or whatnot, where those guys are flying around. They've got some guys that are being drafted and whatnot. So he's going to have a step up or a leg up on a lot of our guys just having some of those reps. Yeah, it'll suck that he gets to sit out, but I think that's also another time for him to kind of hone in on his athletic ability, hone it into being a quarterback, and then it gives us a full year to implement what we want him to know in our offense and how we see it through our eyes, and hopefully we can translate that to say, hey, Imani, this is how we see it, this is how you should see it, and hopefully over a year he'll help us in every certain way. But come next spring, he's going to be fighting for that quarterback job, and I know he's hungry for it.
It's a little bit fun question, I would say. Do you have like a favorite or least favorite uniform combo?
Oh, I've always been a pretty uniform guy, as in like I know a lot of guys liked like the green, white, green, or like the chrome top with the gray and the black. I've always liked the all black or all white. I thought that when we first had the all blacks, I think it was Halloween. I think might have been that 2013 season where they had the stand. I can't remember if it was all black, but I think that was one of those nights that they brought out the new jerseys and whatnot, and that was really cool. Obviously, we've changed our black helmets once or twice with different kind of patterning, and then we got that matte black. The matte probably would be my favorite helmet, the matte black with the green eagle, and then just go ahead and go all the way down with all the black. The icy whites were pretty cool to see just because I always remember Arkansas and the fake punt, fake fair catch. I mean, that's the one that everyone's going to know of because obviously Keegan Brewer is a legend, but I'll go ahead and narrow it down to those two.
Now, I have to say, maybe you can put in a good word. I don't know. I don't know. I really like the helmet with the eagle that has the American flag in it.
Okay, that's sweet.
I think that one it needs to come back. I mean, that one was awesome.
I think it probably will come back because I know Coach Trell loved it a lot. I was actually at Coach Trell's house yesterday after work, and he's always has his OU Boomer Sooner going on, North Carolina, Indiana, Arizona, Texas Tech, and North Texas is obviously the one right up in front, and it's the American Eagle or the American flag Eagle one, and I know that's a special one in his heart. So whatever that guy says goes. So I can't imagine us not bringing that back, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I think it'd be cool. You can almost do like almost like numbers too, something special, because they have military appreciation, and I think that's the perfect time to wear it. But I definitely would like to see that come back. I think that is all from us. Thank you so much for being on.
Yeah,
fun. But we're definitely looking forward to this season. I know we were talking the other day once Governor Abbott said that it can go to 50%. We really feel that by the time it gets to September, October, it'll be 100%. And I'm looking forward to that because I most certainly want to be at every home game that we have. This season, I have high expectations. I'm really excited just overall because it's a fresh start, is what it is. We had coming off this great quarterback. There's high expectations, of course, but I really think that getting a new quarterback in there is going to bring some change, and I think it's going to be a good thing. But yeah, like I said, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you the best of luck this season, and can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me. Like I said, I want Mean Green Nation to come back full force, and with that, Governor Abbott saying 50%, by September 1st, I hope that's 100% because I want all you guys out there. I want Mean Green Nation back. This quarantine sucked because we couldn't give you guys any spring ball information. We couldn't give you guys any tidbits. I bleed green. You guys kind of took me in. Obviously, I transferred in, but you guys took me in, and I've been here forever. I've been here longer than dang near anyone in the office. So, I can recollect on, the McCarney days and now the transition to the Coach Trails days and even new coordinators and whatnot. I will always love everyone at this university. I will always love what football has done for the university, just as a global logo or a standpoint where now we're a Tier 1 institute. We're getting our name out there for all the right reasons, and I think that football is leading that charge. And that just, that should bring the Mean Green Nation even more fans and our alumni in the DFW. I want all of you guys to come out and sell out that home stadium, because every single year that we have, that rising winning percentage, that, the stadium attendance just rises, and that's our ultimate goal, is just to have everyone come in as a community and cheer on a winning team. So that's my job as a coach, bringing you guys a winning team. So you guys got to bring the fans come game days.
I know we are definitely planned to do that. Well, thank you once again for joining us, and that's going to be all from us at 3.5 Guys. We'll see you next week.